Demi from Bright Girl Health here, and today we're going to be talking all about your very first period, all the signs and symptoms that tell you that it's coming. Can you make it come faster? How do you deal with it at school? How often will you have your period? Will you have it for the rest of your life? And how do you be super prepared so you can be confident to be able to deal with your period, like at school or at a friend's house or when you go out and about? I'm a period expert and I actually teach this stuff in schools, which is so fun because we don't learn nearly enough about periods in schools. I also have some of my favorite Tom Organic products here to show you because I wish I knew about Tom Organic when I got my first period. I just think they're amazing, so I'll show you those a little bit later on in the video as well. So let's get cozy, comfy, and learn all about periods. I'm going to answer some of the most frequently asked questions on Google about your first period and when it will come. When will I get my first period? On average, your first period comes between the ages of 9 and 16. That's the average. So you could get it as early as 9, 10, and some people need to wait a little bit longer and it comes a little bit later in life. And that's okay because we're all different. We're not all clones and we're not all robots. So we all get our period at a different time. There's not one age you're supposed to get your period at. So if you're 9, 10, 11, 12 and you've got your period, that's awesome. And if you're that age and you haven't got it yet, then that's okay too. As you start to get a little bit older, so say into your teenage years, then you should also start to see some signs that your period is about to come. Your body changes and pubic hair and all of that, we'll actually get into that in a bit. That's one of the next questions. But if you haven't got your period and those other things are happening, so say your body's changing and you're getting pubic hair and stuff like that, then that's a good sign that your period is on its way. If you're like 14, 15, 16 and you don't have any of those other puberty signs and you don't have your period, then that's the time that you can go and chat with a doctor to make sure that everything's okay and there's nothing standing in the way of you getting your period. So the next popular Googled question about periods is, how do I deal with my first period at school? Or even, how do you just deal with your period at school in general? And what I always like to say is that if you're prepared and you know how to use period products, then you should be pretty confident to be able to deal with your period at school. Sometimes it can feel like we're the only one who has our period at school, but that's just not true. It's really unlikely that your friends don't have their periods yet. It's unlikely that you're the very first one. And so other people probably have their period at school as well. If you're worried about getting your very first period at school, that's okay. There are lots of things you can do to make sure that you're super prepared. If your period does come at school, whether that's your first one or whether it's your like 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th period, but it's just unexpected and it's come at school. So here are my top tips for getting your period at school and being super prepared. First of all, you wanna have a stash of products in your bag and you wanna know how to use them as well. Because it's no good having like pads and tampons in your bag if you don't know how to use them. That actually leads me into talking about the Tom Organic products that I wanted to show you today. And Tom Organic actually have a first period kit. There are 3 types of first period kits with different products in there to suit what you like to use. So there is a kit with pads, liners, and period briefs. There's a kit with pads, liners, tampons, and period briefs. And there's a kit with just tampons and period briefs in it. I've just grabbed this. Your first period kit arrives in a box like this, super cute. And then you open it up and all of your products are inside. And I think this is a fantastic thing to get before your very first period or after you've got like your first couple of periods, because you can try out all the products to figure out what suits you, because everyone has a different preference when it comes to what they use. Some people might love to use tampons, but other people might be a little bit intimidated by tampons, and that's okay. Everyone has to choose to use what product feels right for them and what suits their needs and what suits their lifestyle. You can try out both reusable period care, so the period briefs, and disposable period care like pads and tampons and liners. So the benefits of reusable is that you're not creating as much waste, but some people still really love to use a pad for convenience as well. So you get to try out both kinds. And the big reason that I always recommend Tom Organic to people is because they're made with 100% organic cotton and nothing else. So you really want to be getting organic cotton when it comes to your pads and your tampons that are going in a really sensitive part of your body. The other big thing about Tom Organic that I love so much is that they are biodegradable. Their pads are not made with any plastic, and big secret, pads usually are made with plastic. If you pull them apart, you'll see it. They're not made with any plastic. And so instead of spending 300 to 500 years in the environment not breaking down, they biodegrade pretty quickly, which is so awesome. And the really exciting thing is that you actually get this card in your kit, and this card has a note on it from me. Along with the note is a link to the Tom Organic First Period Hub, where I've written a bunch of different articles about getting your first period and how to deal with it and answering lots and lots of questions. So let's come back to the question of how do I be prepared to handle my period at school. So let me take you through the different products that you can get. So let's talk first about the period briefs and what they are and how to use them at school. So the period briefs are really cool because they actually hold 3 tampons worth of blood, meaning you can wear these for longer than you can wear a pad or a tampon for. They just look like regular underwear. They're super comfy, super breathable. They're made with organic cotton, and inside is a layer like wearing an inbuilt pad on your underwear, and that absorbs your period, and it's good for all day or all night as well, and it's safe to wear at night. They're so soft, the band is so soft and stretchy, and you can just go about your day at school wearing your cute undies and it will absorb your period for you. You can put these on in the morning and go your school day, come home and change them. You should be able to do that if you have a regular flow, if you're not losing too much blood. However, if you're someone who has a heavy period and you lose a lot of blood, you might not be able to last the whole entire school day wearing these. So if you wanted to try out the period briefs, try them out on a weekend, try them out at home and see how many hours you can get out of wearing the period briefs. And that will give you a good indication of whether you can last the whole school day wearing the briefs. The other cool thing is they do come in lots of sizes, so size 6 to size 20. So that's the period briefs. Now let's go into tampons. Lots of people love tampons because they get inserted inside you, and so there's nothing on the outside, and the blood stays inside and is absorbed by the tampon rather than coming out, and you don't have to see it as much and you don't have to feel it as much. And so that's a reason why a lot of people love tampons. Now in your first period kit, you get this pouch, and this is the perfect pouch to take a couple of tampons out of the pack and just put a few, maybe 3, into the pouch. And you can also put some pads and liners in here as well. And then keep that in your school bag. Now, a good thing to do is to know how to use a tampon before you need to use it, so that when you are at school and you might need to change a tampon, that you know how to do that. If it's your very first time having your period at all, it's a good idea to be prepared with pads because they're much easier to use, especially if you're under pressure. So in the first period kit, you get pads and you can get liners. So again, what you can do is grab some pads, take them out of the box and put them into a pouch that you can keep in your school bag. And then if you do have a period surprise at school, because it happens sometimes, then you're not going to be worried thinking, oh my gosh, I don't have anything to use. I might bleed through my school clothes. I might bleed on my chair. As soon as you realize you have your period, you can go to your bag, you can get your pouch pouch and you can use the products that are inside. Here's the thing, my top tip here is to know how to use your products before you even have your first period, so that you're never in a situation where you need to change a pad and you don't know how. So let me show you how. So we'll open the Tom Organic pads, and inside we've got all of our pads. These are actually the liners. So you'd use these on your like lighter days where you don't need a full pad. So this is a liner. Take off the plastic to reveal the pad, rip it off the sticky part, and then I dropped that. Then you've got the sticky part here. It's like a sticker. And then you would take your underwear, and on the inside of your underwear, just like that, stick the pad. And so that way, when you pull your underwear back up, all the blood goes onto the pad instead of over your shorts or skirt or chair. Just quickly, I just put the pad on the Tom Organic period briefs, but you usually wouldn't put them on period briefs. You would put them on normal underwear. But what you can do is wear the period briefs and a tampon together. And that way you've got 2 layers of protection. You've got the tampon protecting you and you've got the period briefs protecting you from any leaks. If by some chance you don't have period products on you at school, go to the school nurse. Don't be embarrassed about it. They've got a stash of pads and tampons there. They've got that there ready and waiting and probably hoping that someone will come and ask for them. So don't feel embarrassed about going and seeing like the school nurse. All right, the next Googled question about periods is first period signs and symptoms. How do I know my first period is coming? So as our first period approaches, our body starts to get ready for that first period, and our body's going through puberty, so we'll see other puberty signs happen as well. So here are some signs that your period is coming, that it's on its way. First of all, you're starting to grow taller, and you might even put on a little bit of weight. The amount we grow taller and the amount of weight we might or might not put on differs from person to person. The next sign is pubic hair. So you might get hair underneath your armpits, you might get hair down there. You might even notice that your hair on your body, so your arms and your legs, is growing a bit coarser and thicker and darker, and you might even notice some more hair on your face. As we go through puberty, our hormone testosterone is actually a little bit higher, and this is causing all that hair growth. So you can shave it if you want to, but it's a good indication that your period is on the way. And when I say on the way, it might be a year, it might be a year and a half, or it could be a month. Everyone's different. Next way to tell that your period might be coming soon is that you might start to see fluid in your underwear. A lot of people call this discharge. You might see it on your underwear when you look down, or you might see it on toilet paper after wiping, and it could look creamy like lotion or sticky like glue, or it could even look really stretchy and transparent. It usually looks whitish or clearish, and this is a good indication that your estrogen levels are rising and your period is on its way. Some other things you might notice as your first period approaches is that body odor might get a little bit stronger. So you might notice that after you've done sport, you stink a whole lot more than what you might usually stink. Another thing might be feeling more intense moods, more intense emotions. And this comes down to our hormones. Our hormones are changing. Both guys and girls have changing hormones throughout puberty. And as that happens, we might experience our feelings, our emotions more powerfully, more strongly. And so if you notice yourself getting irritable, getting angry for no reason, or getting angry for any little reasons, or wanting to cry more, or whatever it might be, that's a good indication that your first period is coming as well. Oh, and boobs! Our boobs start to grow. And so some people's grow really big, really fast, and other people's boobs grow slowly, and even when they're adults, they might not even get to that big. So boobs are so different for everyone, but you should start to see your boobs growing somewhat, even if it's just a little bit, and the nipple might even get a little bit bigger and a little bit darker as well. That's a good sign your first period is on its way. The next question is, can I make my period come faster? And the answer is no, not really. There are videos on YouTube that will tell you to like drink pineapple juice and silly things like that. you can't really make your period come faster. It all has to do with the way your brain and your ovaries communicate and release hormones, and not so much to do with how much pineapple juice you drink. So unfortunately, there's not a way to make your period come faster. But if you are healthy, if you're taking care of yourself, if you're eating well and treating yourself well, and if there's any other health conditions in your life, if you take care of those health conditions, then your body should feel healthy and supported to be able to start your period. If your body isn't healthy and it doesn't feel supported to start your first period, it might take a little bit longer. So just make sure you're healthy, but just be patient and kind with your body. Something else a lot of people want to know is how often will my period come? So the average time that a period will come is between 21 to 35 days. So every 21 to 35 days, you'll get your period again. The average is 28, but we're not all robots. We don't all have the same period experience. So there's that range. When we're teens, that might be shorter or longer, just because as teenagers, our body is still getting used to having a period. Give it time to see if your period gets closer to coming within that 21 to 35 day range. If after a few years your period isn't coming within that 21 to 35 day range, then you can reach out and talk with a women's health or a menstrual health specialist. Not all doctors specialize in periods, so you've got to make sure you connect with a specialist. But yeah, give it time. Your body's learning a new process. So if your period's a bit early or a bit late to start with, don't freak out too much. The next Googled question is, how long does your period last? So once you find your period in your underwear, from that very first day that it starts, usually a period lasts for 4 to 7 days. So you would bleed for about 4 to 7 days. So a really short period of less than 4 days isn't the average, and a really long period of over 7 days isn't the average. However, when we're teenagers and when we get our very first periods, it's expected that we might experience some not quite average things. So maybe when you first get your period, it might be really short, or it might be really long, or it might be really heavy, or it might be really light. And although the extremes, so really, really heavy, or really, really light, or really, really long, or really, really short, the extremes aren't average and they're not ideal. It is more expected when we're teenagers and when we first start getting our period. So if you've got a period that looks like one of those extremes to begin with, that's okay. Don't freak out, don't worry. With time, our body gets used to having a period and it usually evens out and averages out. And the last Googled question is, will I have my period for the rest of my life? And the answer is no. We will have our period until it stops at around the age of 40 to 55, just like everyone's different with how they experience their period and when their period starts. Everyone's different with when their period ends, but 55 is a good average age, but for some people it can happen a bit earlier that their period stops, and that's called menopause. But yeah, you've got a good few years ahead of you of having a period until then, and embrace it. Welcome to the club. It's a cool club. Our periods are pretty intelligent and they're pretty smart. Having a healthy, regular period is a sign of good health. It's like a monthly report card telling you that your body is healthy. And with so many cool new products like period briefs, like having a period has never been easier. It's never been more fun. So thank you so much to Tom Organic for allowing me to show you the 3 first period kits. You can head over to the Tom Organic website to grab a first period kit, and I will leave the link for that in the description below. If there's some questions that I didn't get to answer, feel free to head over to the Bright Girl Health Instagram. I can answer your questions over there, and we talk about periods all the time over there, so you might even find that your question is already answered over there. Or you can check out some of my other YouTube videos. I've got YouTube videos about period briefs, about period cups, about period pain. Why do we have period pain? How can we stop it? So lots of videos there for you to go and check out. And I think that's everything. So I'll see you in my next video.